Hey mages, welcome to today's video, and today I've got some super budget standard decks for you to play, all with optional upgrades if you do decide. I've got a couple of a few ideas that I think would make the decks a lot stronger, but I know zero rare decks are loved on this channel, so I appreciate all the support that you always give these videos. Now, Final Fantasy is here on Arena now, so I've tried to incorporate some of the new cards, and there's a couple of different archetype decks that I've put in there. One is one of my favourite types of mechanics, which is Landfall. I love that. It's definitely my favourite. What do you think? Is it one of yours? Let me know what your favourites are, but Landfall is one that I love. But without further ado, we're going to go and take a look at these decks. If you want to support the channel, big thumbs up. Commenting really does help. Just want to get that out there. Appreciate all your support. But let's get on to today's decks. Like I said, Landfall is one of my favourite types of decks to play. I play it in Commander. Tachyova is my favourite type of Commander. And here we get to play with some Chocobos. Chocobos? How do you pronounce it? I'm going to say Chocobos. I do get rinsed for how I pronounce cards on this channel, but that's just the way I am. So yeah, this is a Landfall deck, and this is just a super cool uncommon card. Whenever a land you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So the idea of this deck is to trigger lots of ways to be able to put counters on creatures and make them bigger, and we also have a sub-bird creature token theme in the deck. It does slightly change when you want to add in some upgrades to this. There is a lot more competitive deck, but I have found that this deck, even with zero rares, can still be competitive. And that's what you want when you're building, new sets out. You don't want to waste all your rare and mythic wildcards straight away. You can get a feel for this deck and upgrade it if you do want over time. But like I said, a little sub-theme of the green bird tokens. So we're going to base around getting lands onto the battlefield. Important part of this is having these type of lands. You get double triggers for your landfall effects. Escape Tunnel can be sacked and get a basic forest as well for us, and Evolving Wilds does exactly the same as well. You're then going to get the double triggers of everything that involves landfall on there. So Chocobo Sazars will get an extra 2 counters on there when you've got an Evolving Wilds coming into play and stuff like that. We've then got cards like Glimpse the Core that could search our library for a basic forest and put that onto play after we've already potentially maybe played a land as well. So that's another kind of way to trigger as well. And we have Invasion of Zendikar. This will put 2 lands into play, 2 basic lands, tapped and then shuffle. And if you do want to then start attacking your siege, then you're going to get Skyclave, which is a nice sweet 4/4, can add another mana of colour choose as well. Other cards that work well with this, like I said, there is going to be a sub kind of bird theme in this deck here going on. So, Geisal Greens creates a 2/2 green bird token, and whenever your land you control enters, this gets +1/0. Now, for me, I know when you look at the bird, not all birds fly. I wish this had fly, and it would have just made it so much better if these birds could fly. But they don't, but they still get there, and they can just pump up their power every time a land goes in until the end of turn. We have Ride the Suppport. Enchantment, whenever land enters, we get to put a 1/1 counter on a target creature. So a counter, not just till end of turn. We're then pumping and making these creatures big. And then this can pay 7, and it becomes a 7/7 beast as well. So when we're ramping out, this can sometimes be easily done there because we've got Llanowar Elves to get in some extra lands in early. Where, like I said, Glimpse the Core can make us ramp, and Invasion of Zendikar can do that as well. So the 7 mana is not that unobtainable in this deck. We then got side quest, Raise a Chocobo. So we're going to get this. It's going to make a 2/2 bird token into play, and it has the effect of every time a land comes in, you get to pump it. But if you're in your main phase, if you control 4 or more birds, you get to transform this into the Black Chocobo. And when this transforms, you search your library for a land card, put it on battlefield tapped, and whenever a land control, birds you control get +1/+0. So as you can see, this type of deck is a very aggressive deck that can just amass a lot of tokens and amass a lot of creatures on the battlefield as well. Going in any green deck, because this can help you get lands. I felt like Flourishing Bloomkin was a good, good creature. It can get big. It's a big beatdown creature. You can play it for its face down cost of 3, then it has War 2, and then flip it and then search for those 2 forest cards, which is another good effect. And then getting these and pumping these up and getting all our creatures with Landfall and just making lots of birds as well. A couple of Fat Chocobos, because why not? It's a 4/4. When you create a 2/2 token, when this comes in with Lord 1, and then gives the all-important trample. Good way to get over the top of those little blockers that might be going in the way of our big creatures as we're getting the landfall up. This will help us get over the top and win some games indeed. Bite down for a tiny bit of removal, but we're more about just actually flooding the field in this type of deck. I've already spoke about the lands. I've got a demolition field in there. We can then go and fetch a land with it, but there's a few creature lands about, so this can help out. Just putting one of these in there just think it helps out the deck. And I said escapes and evolvings are great for those double landfall effects. Now we're going to get on to some suggested upgrades. You don't have to do these. If you want, more of what you'd like me to, what to take out. Sometimes it just depends on what cards you have. But these are just cards that are going to make the deck better. Now, Tifa, you have to change the deck a touch by adding some of these cards in. Tifa in Landfall is really, really strong. Really good rare. So this has, whenever a land into control enters, you get to double the power. So it seems good, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger, and this already has trample. So you change a little bit, you take out maybe one of your Geisel Greens or something like that for a card like Titanic Growth, because you really want that in there with your Tifa. This will just, when you're doubling up that power, if you're giving it plus 4/4, it's just going to make it so much bigger. Now, Bristling Bill is another good upgrade to the deck. This, whenever a land control enters, you get to put a 1/1 counter on target creature, and then the 5 for doubling the number of 1/1 counters on each creature as well. So you're getting more creature based in this one, but with counters as well, which is why sometimes with these it's doing till end of turn, so you're sort of possibly taking out more of the bird theme when you're transforming over and bringing in cards like Mossborn Hydra that goes leaning more onto the counter theme, but still the essence of a landfall deck as well. Upgrading to Fable Passage is really good because your Evolving Wilds is decent, but that comes in tapped. This sacrifice, it comes in untapped if you control 4 or more lands, so it's just basically just better as well. You might be able to run some of these and go less on these, but you don't really want everything coming in tapped because you really want to get your turn 1, turn 2 plays going down. But that is mono green landfall for you with some upgrades. Let's get on to the next deck. So the next one I have for you, Control Mages, is a Dimir mid-rangey control type of deck. I saw this card and I just absolutely loved it. Ultimisia, Time Sorceress. So when this enters or attacks, you get to Surveil 2. It's got a nice body. It's a 4/5. Beginning of your end set, you may pay, it's a big cost, it's 8, and exile 8 cards from your graveyard. You then get to transform it into the Nightmare Warlock, which is a 7/7 with Menace. When this creature transforms into Ultimisia Omnipotent, you get to take an extra turn. Now, for an uncommon, yes, it's expensive when they transform, but you're playing a slower game with this deck. This is a cracking finish. Get that 7/7 with Menace and then take an extra turn as well. For an uncommon, that is brilliant, and I just thought this was a really good finisher for a budget rare Dimir kind of deck. Now, we get a couple of other little cards from the new set that we can add in. Side Quest, another side quest, Hunt the Mark. When this enchantment enters, draw it to one target creature. Beginning your end step, if a creature died on opponent's turn, create a treasure token. Then if you've got 3 or more treasures, you get to transform this into another type of beatdown creature. Now, it's a dragon, but it's a dragon that doesn't fly again, so bit of a shame there. It's a 5/6, but you can sacrifice another creature or artifact, gain indestructible. So another decent one, but we've only got this as in the 1. I think if it was a flying dragon, it would just be so much better if it transformed into this, because it is 5 mana, and then you've got a few hoops to get round. But I feel like this is just a decent card, and I wanted to give it a try, and it's not been too bad. Another new card we're coming in is Quistis Trip. Quistis Trape. When Trape enters, you may cast a target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Any mana can cast that spell, and then it gets to exile. Now, cards, some of my favourite cards old cards in Modern like Snapcaster Mage. This is this type of effect. So you get to target an instant sorcery and then cast it. So early on, yeah, you're not putting this down turn 3, but later in the game, when you've got, you know, you need to maybe a bit of removal, or maybe you want to cast another stock up or something like that late game, I feel like this, for another uncommon, is really powerful for us budget players. And this can come in here, and then we can replay something like Cut Down, Duress, Anoint. We've got Go for the Throat as well. We got Stock Up, like I said, that we can play. I just think that is a really cool effect, and I'm really excited to actually have some powerful cards for a Dimir type of control, mid-rangey sort of deck. The rest of it, we got obviously Counter Magic, we got Dispel in Exile, we do have a dragon, we've got this one, the Island Dragon. Tap up one target creature, you get to draw a card for the 2. Then it's a Flying Ward 2 with 4/4 flyer, which I think is pretty sweet as well. So another good finisher, and not your normal ones that you would see in a budget one like Tolarian and a few other cards like that as well. This is, you know, playing with some of the newer cards. We then have some lands in here. We go in there, it would be nice. This is part of the upgrade for this deck, but still, Dismal Backwater to gain a bit of life is nice, and Murky Sewer that potentially coming untapped is good as well. With slower games, we don't mind the early tapped lands coming in on this. Still plenty of basics, and then a couple of Demolition Field in this one to have more of the controlling effect and deal with those creature lands in this as well. So we're going to go to potential upgrades for a sideboard, and you can add in some really powerful cards. But first of all, you know, you're looking in this, you want consistent lands. So you're looking at the creature land, Restless Reef to come in, gives you another way to attack and another way to win games as well. Undercity Sewers, any amount of these that you have in your collection as a budget player or a new beginner player that's building up, these are what makes decks consistent. Underground River, we've got Gloomlake Verge as well. Fable Passage is absolutely another one that can come in. And Fountain Port, if you can fit a couple of these in the deck, it can give you make tokens, treasure tokens, sacking them to draw cards as well. It's just a very good effective land, this one as well. I want to upgrade your counter spell. Maybe get rid of something like your Dispelling, Exile potentially, or, you know, Syncopate is still very good, but I would like maybe a few 3 steps ahead in if you can. Can target spell, creating target and drawing cards. It's just a very good, you know, multifunctional counter spell as well. Then we look at what we're coming in. So you can upgrade your dragon with Meringue River Regent, 6/7 flyer. Has abilities when it comes in. Also has Coin and Catch, which is another way to draw cards. So that is a straight swap probably for Durgar Island Dragon as well. Scavenger Region gives you the ability when you're adding the dragons in to have that Toxin Exude effect there, and then give yourself a little bit of a potential Wrath and another 4/4 flyer. But that is when, if you're adding in these dragons, you can keep your Dispel in Exile. It gets slightly better, and then you just have to maybe look at what you want to get. Maybe Syncopate then has to go, and then keeping Dispel in Exile. It just depends how many of these dragons you're going to put in to make the Exile just a lot better. Last one, Liliana the Veil to come in as a 3-drop. 1 or 2 of these is still very good. It just disrupts opponents, and if you get to that -6, it can potentially be game winning. But yeah, this is 0 rare Dimir mid-range control with some good upgrades. I like this. I'm a control mage. I do like playing this type of deck. Last deck is Rakdos Pingage. So we're going to be pinging spells here. Quite a few new cards from Final Fantasy here. We've got cards like Mazeldian Elder. So this deck is all about making these 0/1 Black Wizard tokens that have, when you cast a non-creature spell, the token deals 1 damage to each opponent. We want to be getting lots of these on the fields, using our non-creature spells, and then just basically, we don't even have to attack. We just keep pinging our opponents with the damage. We have cards like Lightning Strike that will add extra damage, so 3 to the dome, and then how many of these do we have on there? We're just doing loads more damage, potentially, for that 2 mana. So it's a really cool interacting deck that you don't really need to attack. You can just play these types of creatures. Coruscation Mage, let's get that right, that is offspring, so you can get 2 of these on the field that makes those wizards, makes those type of non-creature spells really good. Firebrand Archer is another one. This one is just whenever you cast a spell, a non-creature spell, 1 damage to opponent as well. This effect for the new one from Final Fantasy, Garland. This is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get to surveil one. So you get to find the cards that you want. So just a couple of these in there. It is legendary. This 5, 6, 7 mana to return this transformed is a lot, but for late game, you then potentially have your 5/5 flyer. So, it's not a terrible card to have on early. It might die. It's still got good stats, a 3/2 for 2, so very good, but then it gives you something for late game as well. Other card, Black Waltz number 3. Flying Death Touch, and this is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, so this is sweet. A 2/2 Flying Death Touch, get over the top, block anything with a Death Touch, kill it. Just a very good card coming in at the 4 spot. I do like this card in there, but there is an upgrade that we'll talk about in a sec that could probably take the place of this, but this is still a very good card, and don't worry about, if you haven't got the upgrade version for this. We then got removal and damage, like I said, Lightning Strike, Burst Lightnings. So many, low mana costing removal that works well, so we can maybe cast off a couple of these and kill a couple of creatures. Then you might be doing so much damage, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Who knows how many wizards will you have on there and how many creatures that do that damage. Annoyed, go for the throat, loads more removal. Then I'm giving Corner by Black Mages a go, because this is, it's 1 double black. It's target opponent sacrifice a creature you don't get to choose, and they might have a lot on there, but you get to make one of those wizards. So for this, another way to make wizards is good for me in this deck to get that pingage going. And Circle of Power, probably not the best card drawing in standard, but drawing 2 cards, lose 2 life, but it creates that wizard, and wizards you control get +1/0 and gain lifelink till end of turn. So that could be a massive swing. So very thematic for this deck. Basic lands and then just Jagged Barrens to do pingage damage because it's, like I said, on theme. But let's get to look at what we could upgrade this with. Now, the lands, definitely first thing you upgrade this with is Blackleaf Cliffs if you got any, Blaze Mire Verge, and Sulphurous Springs. This is what you want to be in there. First things, definitely get these in there. Even leave your pingage if you want because it's nice, but I would definitely recommend putting as many of these in as you can. Now, this was the upgrade, the 4-drop upgrade that I spoke about, Kuja. It's a 3/4, but at the beginning of your end step, create a wizard every time at the beginning of your end step, so that is strong. Whenever you cast it, you obviously do that 1 damage. If you control 4 more wizards, you get to transform this, and then it becomes, Flare Star. If a wizard you control will deal damage to a permanent player, deal double that damage. Great upgrade for this. But this will do a job for you. But this is obviously, Kuja is the straight upgrade swap for this deck. Lindblum I did like for another land. I forgot to mention this one with the lands. Because it can create the tokens, I feel like this is just a perfect card. Even if you just got one of these in the deck, because it does cost 3 mana to do. Land enters tapped. But the ability to have that instant speed is really decent. 1, 2... multiple if you can to make those tokens, still very good. Last upgrade I thought was decent is Artist Talent. Non-creature spells you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Non-creature spells then cost 1 less to cast. You might be able to string off a few as well. Then the level 3 is all about doing extra damage as well. So very good on theme with the deck as well. The non-creature spells costing 1 less is good, but you still have to pay the pips. So potentially this would cost, 3, 2 and 1 black, sorry. This would cost double black, and this would just cost a single black, just for anyone that doesn't know, and then single red. But these would still cost, they wouldn't cost 0, they'd still cost them because you have to pay the coloured pips. But this is a really, different type of deck. You're not, sometimes you have to take that damage just to do one big couple of moves in your deck. You're building up, you might be taking a few, it's not always good to block with this deck straight away. If you can hold out, use your life gain as a resource with this type of deck, and then when you've got loads of them in there, see what non-creature spells have in your hand, and then start the pickage. You've got 3 creatures on there, you could maybe got 6 or 7 wizards ready to do that damage. You string off those spells, and then you're doing 14, 21 damage in one go. It's amazing. Really, really fun deck. But that's all 3 decks today. Let me know what you think of them in the comments. I've already sourced out my next video, which has got some more decks coming for you. I'm probably going to brew up some budget. This is super budget zeros. I'll probably do some like 5 to 10 rare decks. I'll be brewing up some of them. And I've got some meta decks coming as well soon. Some new meta decks probably in the next video. So thanks for watching. Appreciate everyone. If you want to support me further and love all the deck building and doing, everything like that, you can become a Total MTG Patreon. Link is down below. And if you want to take any of these decks to your FNM, you want to build these in paper, check out my sponsors Cardmarket as well. They can get all your card needs over there if you're based in Europe. Thanks for watching the video. You lot take care, and I'll see you on the next one.